Imagine for a moment you're standing in front of a blank canvas. You've just picked up a paintbrush, and in your mind you can already see the possibilities. There's no rush, no pressure, just a space where you can create whatever you choose. And as you begin, your hand moves smoothly, drawing lines, shaping your vision. But sometimes the lines, they might not go exactly where you imagined. And that's okay, because every line is simply part of the larger picture. You know, with each stroke, you're learning something new, letting go of expectations and opening up to the process itself. Now as you sit there, you might start to notice, sometimes the brush feels a little heavier in your hand, doesn't it? It's natural. Sometimes when we hold something in our minds, it seems bigger than it is. A single thought, perhaps about something that might happen in the future, might start to take on more and more shape, like an image that expands and expands until it feels all-consuming. And you might begin to notice how that image, which was once just a tiny idea, now seems like an enormous looming figure, casting shadows over your mind. But imagine for a moment, what if that thought, instead of expanding, could simply dissipate into the air? What if that thought could shrink, not with force or struggle, but with a gentle realization that it's simply one thought among many. A thought that doesn't need to determine your next stroke, your next step, or your next breath. Just one thought, a fleeting idea that comes and goes, like a cloud drifting across the sky. And as you notice this, you can begin to see something new. You don't need to hold onto that cloud. Don't need to grip it tightly in your hand. It can just be there, floating. And as it floats, you can feel a calmness, a sense of ease, knowing each time you let go, it becomes a little easier to trust in the unfolding picture, to trust in the brushstrokes of your life. What's fascinating is how a single thought, when allowed to simply be, can lose its power, how it can shrink and fade when you recognize it for what it is. Just a thought, no more. And now, as you observe your canvas again, perhaps you can start to see there's a new way to approach it, a way that doesn't involve pushing or pulling, striving or expecting, a way that allows each moment to unfold as it will. You see, when we allow ourselves the space to just notice our thoughts, we start to realize we don't have to identify with them, do we? Thoughts can come and they can go, like passing cars on a road. The road itself remains steady and sure, while the cars simply pass by. Your mind, just like the road, can remain steady and sure, while thoughts simply come and go. And as you breathe deeply, you might begin to feel lighter, more present in this moment. The heaviness of past thoughts about future worries just dissolving into the background, like fog lifting in the early morning. As the fog clears, you might begin to notice something very interesting. With each passing thought, you're creating more space for clarity, for action, for focus. Your mind is free to choose, free to create, free to move in the direction you decide. And this, of course, brings us something even more fascinating, the power of choice. Because once you realize you're not at the mercy of your thought, once you understand you can choose which thoughts to focus on, you can begin to shift the patterns. It's like changing the channel on a TV. Just reach out, press the button, and choose something new to focus on. You might find it's just that easy. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Let's take a moment to consider what's truly fascinating here. When you're in that space of clear choice, you're not just changing your thoughts, you're changing the entire way you experience life. You're stepping into a world where you no longer need to worry about things outside your control. You no longer need to fear what might happen, because you're stepping into a place of understanding that you have the power to respond, to choose, to act, rather than react. What's even more incredible is, as you make these choices, as you begin to shift the way you experience your thoughts, you might notice a natural sense of confidence growing within you. A sense that you can trust in your ability to navigate life's uncertainties, because you no longer need to predict every outcome. You no longer need to prepare for the worst, because you're stepping into the power of the present moment, where you have everything you need to deal with whatever arises. And with that, you might even start to realise, isn't it fascinating how effortlessly you can step into a new way of thinking? It's as if a light inside you switches on, and now you can see the possibilities, where you once only saw obstacles. You begin to notice the negative thought that you once held so tightly. It's no longer so loud, no longer so dominant. Instead, you hear a new voice, the voice of clarity, the voice of strength, the voice of calm confidence. You might even begin to hear it more and more often, and as you do, you'll notice each time it speaks, it grows louder and clearer, until it's the only voice you need to listen to. Because in this moment you realise you can trust yourself, trust your ability to navigate the uncertainties of life, trust your ability to face whatever comes with ease and calm. That you allow this to sink in. As you allow these new beliefs to take root, you start to realise something incredible. You're not bound by your old ways of thinking. You're not bound by your fears or anxieties. You're free to choose, free to act, free to create the life you desire. And now, with each passing moment, you might notice how easily you're letting go of the old limiting beliefs. You see, you no longer need to catastrophize, no longer need to expect the worst, because now you're seeing life. It's not about predicting the future. It's about creating the future that you want with your own choices. Your thoughts no longer have to overwhelm you. They simply float by, like clouds in the sky, leaving you with a clear, open space to choose your next step. And as you continue to experience this shift, you might even realise how deeply empowering it is to know that you're the one creating this change. You're the one choosing to let go of old patterns and to step into something new, something brighter, something more fulfilling. And with each passing day, it becomes easier to create more of what you want, to focus on what serves you, and to release the thoughts that no longer hold any power over you. And the best part, you don't have to force anything. You don't have to push. It just happens naturally, effortlessly. Because just like that blank canvas, life is waiting for you to paint it with the colours of your choosing. So imagine for a moment stepping into a space where everything feels effortlessly in flow. The world around you is calm, inviting. As you move through it, you begin to realise how naturally everything unfolds. You begin to notice, almost without effort, how easy it is to breathe deeply, to feel the ground beneath you. And with each breath, the sense of control and clarity expands, gently, effortlessly. There's a profound sense of calm and possibility, a deep knowing that all that you need is already within you. As you explore this feeling, you start to notice something subtle yet powerful. How at each passing moment, your connection to this feeling deepens. It's like discovering an inner compass, one that always points you towards what you truly need, guiding you with ease. This compass is not a future projection, not something distant. It's right here, right now. And it's already showing the way. You always had it, even when it seemed hidden behind thoughts that once took on a life of their own. You've always had the ability to center yourself, to make choices from a place of calm understanding. You might begin to realise, as you reflect, that every time you thought of the future as something uncertain, something to fear, you are simply letting an old pattern take hold. It's like watching a movie where the ending is unknown, but the movie itself is full of tension and drama, where every twist and turn seemed to promise something bigger than what was actually happening. And in that moment, you might notice how easily you could release that movie. Or you could change the channel. Or you could choose to watch something else entirely. Something lighter. Something more in alignment with what you truly desire. What if instead of projecting the worst, you could simply allow yourself to notice what's right in front of you? What if every time you felt your mind rushing ahead into an uncertain future, you could pause and notice how much power you actually have in this moment? In fact, with each pause, you create more space to see the full picture, to let go of that old habit of imagining the worst, and instead you find a natural rhythm within yourself. It's like stepping into a new dance, a dance where each step is in perfect harmony, where everything just flows without force, without pressure. And as you begin to feel this rhythm, you realize something important. Every moment is an opportunity to choose. With each breath, each pause, each moment of stillness, you're given the chance to reframe your thoughts. You're no longer a passenger on a ride you can't control. You're the driver, and with every decision, you shape your experience. Now, just as you notice this new rhythm, you may feel a subtle shift in your mind. It's as if those old fears, those big looming thoughts of what might happen, they begin to shrink, fading into the distance, like the fading echo of a sound that's no longer relevant to this moment. And in their place, there's a new sound, a new rhythm, one that sings of possibility, of clarity, of choices. You might even begin to feel how, with each new choice, you're letting go of the old beliefs about the future, the old stories of catastrophe and disaster, all of them like leaves falling from a tree, gently drifting away, leaving you with a fresh sense of freedom. You see, those old beliefs, they didn't define you, did they? They were simply old patterns running in the background, repeating themselves over and over again, like a broken record. But now, you've noticed the control you have, the power to turn the record over, to listen to a different tune, a tune that sings of peace, clarity, and trust in your ability to face whatever comes your way. And as you sit with this, you might feel a deeper sense of trust within you, trust in the process, trust in your ability to navigate uncertainty, and trust that every step you take is the right one. You begin to realize there's no need to predict, no need to catastrophize, because each moment, each decision is a chance to rewrite the story in your favour, a chance to step into something greater than the old way of thinking. Perhaps you notice how effortlessly you're letting go of the tendency to project fear into the future. You see, each moment of letting go, you release more of the need to control, to predict, and you open yourself to the natural flow of life. It's like the calm of a river flowing effortlessly forward, always moving in the direction of least resistance. And as you move with it, you start to see you no longer need to fight the current. You no longer need to worry about the future, because you trust in the flow. And then, as you deepen into this trust, a new belief begins to settle within you. Everything you need is already here in this moment. In fact, you may even begin to realize how much more powerful you are when you simply allow yourself to be present. It's in the present where the magic happens, where the true shifts occur. Every time you turn your attention to the here and now, every time you make the choice to focus on what you can control in this very moment, you're building new patterns, patterns that support you, patterns that guide you, patterns that shift you away from worry and into a place of confidence. You might notice how easy it is to create these new patterns, how naturally they take hold, because your mind is always adapting, always learning, always growing. It's like planting seeds in rich soil, nurturing them with care, and watching them bloom into something vibrant and full of life. And as you focus on the present, As you trust on your ability to respond, those seeds begin to sprout, and before you know it, your entire experience has changed. The future becomes a place where you trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. And the past, it's simply a lesson, no longer a weight you need to carry. As you continue on this journey, you might find every step you take brings you closer to the core of who you truly are. A person who chooses wisely, who trusts deeply, who's free from the need to predict or fear. You've always had this power, haven't you? The power to choose. And now as you step forward, you do so with confidence, with clarity, with the quiet knowing that you're capable of creating the life you desire. It's just that simple, just like that. Every thought, every choice, every moment is filled with possibility, filled with freedom.